Philadelphia news, team of my heart. Are you ready to see how the Magic could be in for a tough season? With Joel Embiid dominating in Sixers news, Giannis tearing through defenses, and Donovan Mitchell putting up monster numbers, the Magic's playoff hopes look shaky. These stars expose the weaknesses that could crush Orlando's chances. Can they find a solution, or will they fall short? Stay tuned for more Sixers news, subscribe now, and don't miss any updates on how these matchups could affect the Sixers' own playoff push. The Eastern Conference is full of powerhouse players that will challenge any team on a nightly basis, and if you're a Sixers fan, you know exactly what I'm talking about. When it comes to teams like the Magic, they don't have the same star power as some of the other contenders in the East, and that's going to be a problem when they face some of the top talents this season. You've seen how a player like Joel Embiid can single-handedly alter a game. His dominance is undeniable, especially against a team like the Magic, who simply don't have an answer for him. Look back at last season. Embiid only played in 2 games against Orlando, and Philadelphia walked away with 2 wins. You can still picture him putting up 32 points, grabbing 13 boards, and dishing out 7 assists in that April game. No one on that Magic roster could slow him down, and it wasn't any better in January when he dropped 36 points. You and I both know the impact Embiid has when he's healthy. It's like watching a force of nature, and that's going to be the Magic's biggest problem. Who can stop him? The answer is no one. Let's be real, Embiid is just one piece of the puzzle for the Sixers. When you've got him paired with Tyrese Maxey and Paul George, the game gets even tougher. The Magic are trying to build something, but they're not at that level yet. Maxey's speed and George's two-way prowess make the Sixers a nightmare to defend, and it all starts with Embiid being the anchor. The Magic, with their limited all-star presence, are going to have their hands full, and you know it's only a matter of time before Embiid and company remind them just how wide the gap still is. What makes this even more intense for the Magic is that this Sixers squad isn't just about talent, they've got experience. The Magic are still in that hopeful phase, trying to scrape together wins and claw their way up the standings, but the Sixers? They're gunning for the top. Embiid's MVP-caliber presence alone changes the entire outlook of any game he steps into. Sure, you can hope the Magic put up a fight, but you know deep down that when the Sixers hit their stride, teams like Orlando don't stand a chance. Every time the Magic think they're starting to figure things out, Embiid shows them why they're not quite there yet. Whether it's dominating the paint or stretching the floor with his mid-range game, Embiid's skill set is unmatched. You don't even need to look too far back. Just last season, when he was healthy, he was averaging over 30 points per game. That's elite, and the Magic's defense just isn't built to handle that kind of firepower. So, what does that mean for Orlando? It means they're going to struggle. And as a Sixers fan, you love seeing that because it reminds the rest of the East that the road to the finals goes through Philly. But Embiid isn't the only one causing headaches for teams like the Magic. When you throw in Maxey's burst and George's scoring ability, you're looking at a team that's built to contend. And for Orlando, that's a big issue. They've got young talent, sure, but they don't have players who can match up with a trio like that. They've got to be praying that Embiid isn't at 100%, because if he is, you know the Sixers are going to dominate. And it's not just Embiid that the Magic need to worry about. Giannis Antetokounmpo, with his relentless drive and sheer athleticism, is another player who's going to make life miserable for them. You've seen him time and time again bulldoze through defenses, and the Magic are no exception. In fact, you've watched it unfold in recent games. It's almost like there's no stopping him when he gets that head of steam. Giannis is one of those players where you sit back and wonder, how do you even guard him? The Magic's defense, solid as it can be, doesn't have an answer for a player like Giannis. Just think about the last season. The Magic managed to squeeze out 1 win against Milwaukee, but Giannis? He still torched them for 35 points. A month later, in December, he dropped 37 on them, and the Bucks walked away with the victory. Even when the Magic do everything right defensively, Giannis finds a way to dominate. You know he's not just about putting up points either, he'll grab rebounds, dish assists, block shots, and steal the ball. He's everywhere on the court, and no matter what the Magic throw at him, they haven't been able to slow him down. Now, here's the thing, Giannis is going to be even more dangerous this season. After 2 straight years of early playoff exits, he's coming in with something to prove. That chip on his shoulder is only going to push him harder, and that spells bad news for the Magic. When Giannis is on a mission, you can expect big performances, especially against teams that don't have the personnel to handle his physicality. Orlando, for all their potential, isn't built to stop someone of his caliber. Can you imagine what it'll take for them to even stay competitive in those matchups? And it's not just about stopping Giannis in isolation. When he's surrounded by shooters and capable scorers like the Bucks have, it makes it nearly impossible to double him. You leave one guy open, and boom, Milwaukee drains a three. You try to play him one-on-one, and Giannis barrels his way to the rim. It's like a never-ending dilemma, and you can already see how that's going to create problems for the Magic all season long. If you're watching as a Magic fan, you've got to be wondering how they'll even slow him down, right? But that's the thing with players like Giannis and Embiid, they're matchup nightmares. Every team in the league knows it, and the Magic will feel it the hardest. These are the kinds of stars that make you question your team's strategy, that make you wonder if there's any way to truly stop them. And if you're being honest, you know deep down that teams like the Magic don't have what it takes to do that, at least not yet. So here's the question, what do you think the Magic need to do to contend with players like Giannis and Embiid? Do they need to overhaul their roster, or is it about finding a way to defend better as a unit? You've got to admit, watching these kinds of mismatches makes you think about the gap between the true contenders and teams trying to get there, like Orlando. Then there's Donovan Mitchell, the one player who could really disrupt the Magic's playoff hopes. You remember how last season ended for Orlando, right? The Cavaliers knocked them out, and Mitchell was a huge part of that. He's a scorer in every sense of the word, and when he gets going, there's almost no stopping him. Sure, he had a couple of off games in that series, but when it mattered most, Mitchell delivered. 30 points in Game 1, 50 in Game 6, and 37 in Game 7. That's the kind of player who can swing a series all by himself. Now think about that for a second, Mitchell, on a mission, playing at his best. The Magic's defense is solid, no doubt about it, but even the best defenses struggle to contain a guy like that when he's locked in. And you know Mitchell is going to be locked in this season. After a disappointing playoff exit, he's got something to prove, and if you're a Magic fan, you've got to be worried about seeing him again. What do you think will happen if Mitchell gets hot? Can the Magic slow him down, or are they in for another rough postseason against Cleveland? It's not just Mitchell's scoring ability that makes him dangerous, it's his versatility. He's capable of going off for 30 or more points on any given night, but he can also facilitate, make the right passes, and get his teammates involved. When Mitchell is rolling, the Cavs' offense is unstoppable, and Orlando will be right in the crosshairs again this season. Do you believe the Magic can step up defensively, or will Mitchell continue to be a nightmare matchup for them? There's something poetic about the Magic and Cavs being in the same tier of competition now, both teams fighting for the same playoff spots. They're not the heavyweights like the Sixers or the Bucks, but they're right there, trying to make the leap. That makes every game between these two teams critical, and Mitchell is the kind of player who could tip the balance. If Orlando wants to avoid another playoff exit, they'll need to figure out how to slow him down, and fast. So, what do you think the Magic need to do to take that next step? Is it about improving their defense, or do they need more star power to compete with players like Mitchell, Embiid, and Giannis? You can feel the frustration building, right? The Magic have talent, but they're not quite there yet. Do they need to make a move, or do they just need more time to develop? As a Sixers fan, you know how important it is to have stars like Embiid and Maxey who can take over games. The Magic don't have that yet, and until they do, teams like Philly, Milwaukee, and Cleveland will continue to dominate. But hey, this is where it gets exciting, right? Watching these teams battle it out for playoff positioning, every game matters. And if you're following Sixers news closely, you already know how these matchups could impact the Sixers' own path to the top. So, if you want to stay ahead of the game and get all the latest Sixers news, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell. You don't want to miss a thing when it comes to the Sixers' push for the playoffs. What are you waiting for? Let's keep the conversation going.